Hey everyone, Gabriel here, and in this video I'm going to be answering a question that I get asked all the time, which is how much money do you really need to start your own dropshipping business? And a lot of people want to know this and want to know how much money they should be setting aside before they can jump into dropshipping. And so in this video I'm going to be trying to answer that question to the best of my ability and also give you two different strategies that you can use based on your starting budget. So one strategy for a low budget and one strategy for a higher starting budget. So without further ado, let's get right into the content. So first off, I'm going to be answering the question, which is what is the absolute minimum amount of money that you can start dropshipping with? And in my opinion, this would be around $200 and a credit card. Just buying your Shopify plan and your domain name and then a few apps maybe, and even for apps you can mainly use free trials or free apps, but once you take in all those fixed costs, you're going to be left with about $150 out of that original $200 for your marketing. And for dropshipping, marketing is the biggest expense, and this is a mistake that I see a lot of new people who want to get into making their own online store. They think that they can just make the store and then sales will come in, and that's just not the case. The biggest expense will be the marketing, because if you don't run any marketing, you're not going to have anyone go in your store and you're not going to have any purchases. So the bare minimum that I would recommend is having $200 plus a credit card. Now, another important thing to note here is that if you're starting with less than $1,000, you probably can't afford Facebook ads unless you know exactly what you're doing. And most people who get into dropshipping, they want to get into Facebook ads right away because it's an attractive option, and it sounds nice and it sounds easy and people make it look easy. But the truth is that Facebook ads is really difficult. It requires an extreme amount of testing. You need to test ads religiously, headlines, ad copy, different audiences. And so unless you have $1,000 to invest into testing and to properly launching a product, you're going to have a really hard time successfully starting up a dropshipping business with Facebook ads. What usually happens is that people blow all their money into Facebook ads without getting almost any return, and then they decide to quit dropshipping. And so what you can do instead, if you're starting with a lower budget that's less than $1,000 and as low as $200, what I'd recommend you do is that you start instead with cost-effective Instagram influencer posts. Now, Instagram influencer posts are different than Facebook ads. Facebook ads is an auction system, and there's an enormous amount of advertisers, and so the advertising costs on Facebook ads are always exactly where they need to be for someone to be able to afford it. So that's kind of a bad explanation, but basically the price of Facebook ads is always exactly what it's worth at the time to other advertisers. So if you're not keeping up with other advertisers, you're going to have a really, really hard time being profitable on Facebook ads. But with Instagram influencer posts, it's not a bidding system. It's not this massive free market like Facebook ads. You can just go up to influencers and you can say, hello, I want to promote my product. I'll pay you this much for a 24-hour post on your feed. Here's the post that I want you to publish on your feed. And this is exactly what I did. And I'll talk about this on the next slide. This is exactly what I did. If you guys don't know my story on how I started dropshipping, I started in early 2017. And I started with my first store. It was called Beauty Charcoal, and I was selling the charcoal teeth whitening powder. And I started this brand with less than $500 in the bank. And what I did was I found a cheap product that solves a problem and is starting to trend well. And I just ran simple page influencer promotions, and multiple ended up going viral with 5x plus ROAS, and some failed. So the result is that I was able to spend very little amount on Instagram influencers and then get an enormous amount of sales, which gave me the capital to then shift over to Facebook ads and start private labeling. And just to show you the actual ads that I was running, I took these screenshots from my phone. These are from a while back, like from 2017, but just to show you the type of post that I was doing. I only had less than $500 in my bank account, and I was using it to buy these posts. So I would communicate with these pages. I would build up relationships with them to get good rates. And then I would post simple ads like this. So for the charcoal product, I would do like at Beauty Charcoal are the best for teeth whitening, and then a before, during, and after photo. And as you can see, this is an example of one that paid off massively. I think I paid $50 for this promotion. And as you can see, I got 62,000 likes. The amount of impressions was insane, and I think it did over $10,000 in sales just that day with a post that I paid $50 for. And now I don't want to set misleading expectations, because this is really untypical results for Instagram influencers, and especially nowadays because it is more competitive. But if you pick the pages carefully and you negotiate and you do your due diligence, you're able to get some really good return on ad spends on Instagram influencers without having a high barrier to entry. So you don't need to spend a lot to test beforehand, and you can just get right into it. And so this is kind of an overview of the strategy, and I know that for some people this was really confusing. So what you can do is actually check, I'm going to have a link in the description. I have a video on this exact strategy. So for people who are starting with a lower budget, the video is called Easiest Way to Start Dropshipping with $200. And I explain this exact strategy on how you can find these low-cost Instagram influencer pages and run promotions on there and then start making a lot of sales that way. And so make sure to watch that video if you haven't yet, because it's going to be really useful. So before we move on to the second strategy, which is the one that requires more startup costs, I want to quickly recap the pros and cons of using Instagram influencers to start up your dropshipping business with $200. So the pros, first of all, is that there's a low barrier to entry. So this is why I recommend it for people with lower budgets. There's a low barrier to entry, and there's potential for high returns. So you can, like I mentioned earlier, you can really build up relationships with influencers and start negotiating and get really good deals that you just couldn't get otherwise on a platform like Facebook ads. And so you can use that to your advantage to use your budget as efficiently as possible to optimize and start getting some sales right away with the smallest amount of ad spend. And with Facebook, that's really difficult to do, especially if you have no experience whatsoever. And there's definitely a potential for high returns, like I showed with that beauty charcoal screenshot, the post that I paid $50 for, and that ended up generating $10,000 or more in sales. And so that doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but there is the potential that your post could go viral and then bring in a lot of sales. And the main thing that affects whether or not a post will go viral is the amount of real engagement that it generates. And so my best tip, if you're going to use this strategy to start off with Instagram influencers at a low budget, is to make ads that are sort of provocating or attention grabbing or funny or something. Don't just be generic. You want to provoke a reaction in your audience, even if it's not the best reaction. Just having a lot of engagement in the comments and a lot of discussions, it's going to boost that post a lot, get a lot more reach, and that's really the key with Instagram influencers. So also keep that in mind. Now, the last pro of Instagram influencers is that you can use the data for Facebook ads later on. So once you run Instagram influencers for a long enough time and you start building up capital, so let's say you have $2,000 now, you can switch over to Facebook ads with your $2,000. And the best part is that you can use all the data that you pulled in from your Instagram account and from the people who visited your website. You can use all of that data in Facebook ads later on, as long as you have the Facebook pixel installed on your site. And so that's another great part of using Instagram influencers, is that once you do decide to switch over to Facebook ads, you can utilize the data that you already collected with Instagram to make your life a lot easier on Facebook. Now, there is some cons to Instagram influencers. Number one is that it's extremely competitive. This goes with the first pro, the fact that it has a low barrier to entry. If it has a low barrier to entry, it's going to be competitive. That's just the way things work. Now, another con with Instagram influencers is that they're very inconsistent, Instagram page influencers specifically. And so if you start doing really well with a product with Instagram influencers, odds are that it's not going to last very long, and you're going to need to start evolving and find something else to hop on. So trends don't really last long with Instagram influencers because people really copy each other and start doing the same thing, and then everyone sees it really quickly and it just becomes phased out. And so this happens with a lot of products that go viral on Instagram. To go back to the example of beauty charcoal, when I started running these Instagram ads with before, during, and after photos, it became a thing that a ton of other competitors started doing, right? Because there's no barrier to entry. Everyone can do the same thing as me. And so everyone started doing it. It was extremely competitive, and then my ads started becoming inconsistent. And so I had to evolve and start looking for new advertising strategies. And that's when I moved to Facebook ads, which is the second strategy I'm going to be talking about next. And now just the last con that I want to highlight about Instagram influencers is that there's a lot less scaling potential. And just for the purpose of this video, I'm referring mainly to Instagram page influencers. So using personal influencers, you can scale you can scale a lot using personal influencers. A ton of brands have done it before. But in general, there's less scaling potential if you're focusing only on doing Instagram influencer posts versus something like Facebook ads that you can just aggressively scale to the billions of users that are on Facebook. Now I want to talk a little bit about the higher budget option, which is Facebook ads. So this is for people that have at least $2,000 saved up and they want to get into dropshipping. And in this case, you could try the option that I was talking about earlier, which is Instagram influencers, because even if you do have $2,000 or more, it is still a great learning experience, and you can build up even more capital and go confidently into Facebook ads with data from Instagram. But a lot of people want to go straight into Facebook ads, and if that applies to you, I would recommend that you have at least $2,000 saved up, because as a complete beginner, you must be willing to lose some of your money testing and learning, especially if you have no prior experience at all. And so if you go straight into Facebook ads with not enough budget, odds are you're going to blow it all and you're not going to make any profit back, and it's not going to turn out well for you. And so if you start off with Instagram influencers and you start building up more capital, let's say you build up $1,000 in capital, then maybe you can start testing Facebook ads because you already have experience, fulfilling orders, making good dropshipping ads, all that type of thing. And you have the data from Instagram that will help you propel your Facebook ads and save money testing, right? But if you're going straight into Facebook ads, in that case, I would recommend that you have at least $2,000 saved up because in my experience, you're going to need to spend at least $1,000 on a new product to launch it and figure out what's working. And to show you that more in detail, I have a video about this exactly. It's called Product Launch Blueprint, and I'm going to have the link in the description. And it covers this exact method on how to launch a product with Facebook ads if you have a little bit more capital to start with. And in that video, I show you my ads manager when I was starting one of my new private label brands that's doing about $10,000 a day in sales right now. And I was showing you that I had to spend $1,700 before I started turning a profit on that store. And so that's why I recommend that if you're going to go purely with Facebook ads, which is what I did for that store, you have a little bit more saved up so that you have more room to play with and to test and to really give yourself the chance to succeed. So before I end the video, I want to quickly go over the pros and cons of starting out with Facebook ads versus using Instagram influencers. So first off, the pros. Number one is that it's more consistent than Instagram influencers. When I was talking about Instagram influencers earlier, I said that one of the main cons is that it's not consistent. When you buy posts from Instagram influencers, it's kind of like taking a shot in the dark, and you really don't know whether or not you're going to get a return on investment. With Facebook ads, you can take a more data-driven approach and really focus on the audiences and the ads that are performing for you and scale that way. So Facebook ads gives you the opportunity to be a lot more consistent. That's not to say that Facebook ads will be consistent for you because it's really difficult to be consistent with Facebook ads. But if you do it right, it's possible to be consistent with Facebook ads more so than Instagram influencers. Now, another pro is that Facebook ads has more scaling potential than Instagram influencers. Facebook ads is the second largest ad network after Google, I believe. And so the potential reach on Facebook ads is enormous, and you can really scale out your campaigns to crazy numbers with Facebook. Now, the last pro is that it's better for long-term growth, in my opinion. And I'm going to show you an example of a brand that achieved continuous growth with Facebook ads, and that's still getting crazy numbers today with a dropshipping product. And this is a really great example of why I think that it's better for long-term growth. And there's a bunch of examples of brands like this that just continuously advertise on Facebook profitably. And it's a great example of how Facebook ads can really benefit your long-term growth. Now, the cons of Facebook ads is that it's extremely expensive and difficult to master. Facebook ads costs have been rising enormously in the last few years. I think that January 2019 was one of the worst months for Facebook ads historically in terms of performance. And so it's extremely expensive and it's difficult to master. So that's why I do recommend that you have a larger startup amount to start off with Facebook ads versus Instagram influencers because it is expensive and extremely difficult to master. Now, another con is that there's a very steep learning curve. Once you start out with Facebook ads, it's difficult to figure everything out and to really understand how everything works. And so the learning curve is definitely steep, and a lot of people try to bypass this by just hiring an agency to take care of their ads or something like that. But in my opinion, if you have the budget, it's worth it to learn it and really understand it, and then you can start actually using it to the benefit of your business and start getting consistent results with Facebook ads. Now, the last con is that it requires a lot more testing. It requires a lot more testing than virtually any other ad platform because of the amount of advertisers and the high ad costs. The only way that you're going to get a profitable campaign running on Facebook is if you do a lot of testing to figure out the absolute best creative plus audience combination and find a way to scale your campaigns. And so that is the last con with Facebook ads. It's a lot more expensive. Another reason why I do recommend having a larger starting budget. So this is an example of a company that's been achieving serious growth with just Facebook ads, and they've been able to take a regular dropshipping product and then brand it and grow it into a proper brand that's now probably worth 8 figures. And so this is a great example of how Facebook ads can really take your business to the next level. This would be difficult to do with just Instagram page influencers. This particular product would probably work well with personal influencers, for example, sending it to fitness models, that type of thing where they can promote it. But doing just regular influencer posts on meme pages and girl pages like that probably wouldn't work as well, and they wouldn't be able to scale as much as they did with Facebook ads. Just to show you how much they've been scaling, this video was posted 16 days ago and it has 25 million views. So 25 million views is an enormous amount of views, and so BlendJet is definitely doing extremely well. And they have very simple ads, this similar type of ads that you would see on a dropshipping store. They're just demonstrating their product, And this product is branded. It has their logo on it, but that's really not difficult to do, right? This product. I actually pulled it up on AliExpress. It's this exact same product here. All they did was they contacted this manufacturer and slapped their logo on it. And this is not difficult to do, and it allowed them to really increase their branding and scale even further with Facebook ads. And so that's another thing that you can do long term with e-commerce, not directly related to the topic of this video, but still cool. And I thought that I'd show you this site. And so this is a great inspiration for a one product store that's doing extremely well with Facebook ads at the moment. Alright everyone, so that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a bit shorter than usual because I'm really busy this week, but I still hope that it was insightful and useful for you guys. So basically, the minimum amount of money that you need to start dropshipping in 2019 is $200 in my opinion. If you have $200 or more, you can get started with low-cost Instagram influencer promotions. If you have $2,000 or more, you can jump straight into Facebook ads, but you just have to be ready to lose money testing and learning before you can actually start turning a profit. And so if you want to start with, if you're interested in starting with $200 or similar budget to that, I have a video just for that. Link is in the description. And if you want to start launching a product with Facebook ads and you have more budget to play with, I have also another video for that. So I'm going to have both links in the description, and you guys feel free to watch those ones. Just one last thing. If you haven't joined my Facebook group yet, it's going to be the second link in the description, and I'd really recommend that you join that group. I think we're at 15,000 members now, and it's extremely active, and it's a great place to get all your questions answered related to dropshipping and e-commerce. So on that note, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.